Dr. McGee, for inviting me and the OBM. I've learned a lot since I've been here. I've gone to a couple talks, and I want you to know I'm a doctor that's learning behavior change. We don't get taught behavior change in preventive medicine in medical school. I do have a few extra degrees. I have a master's in exercise science. My dream and goal is to train elite athletes. I do that a little bit still. I also have a doctorate of public health and nutrition and do quite a bit of nutrition research. I'm an occupational doc, I'm a sports medicine doc, but today my hat that I'm wearing is going to be a health promotion doctor and try to understand how to motivate people to improve their behavior. So bear with me. I've had 3 cups of coffee, so I'm ready to go. And I'm going to talk fast because I have too many slides, but hopefully it'll be fun and entertaining for this last hour that you can hang on. So I hope to give you some individual information about health and about your own health risks. And then we're going to talk about society and prevention for our clients. So I first want to talk to you about healthy lifestyle choices and preventive medicine. I want to talk to you secondly about worksite wellness and why it's cost effective and the reasons why we should be implementing and looking at worksite wellness. I'm then going to talk about the difference between groups and teams, and then I'm going to highlight our 3 team-based occupational interventions and show you practically how we've developed a program to improve behaviors. So, as I said, my life, I'm director of the Human Performance Lab, so I see a lot of elite athletes. I'm involved with rehab. Our division is involved with wilderness medicine. I'm the team physician, but today I'm going to be speaking as a health promotion specialist. I think I'm worth about $1 million a year for all of that expertise, but my university thinks I'm worth about $100,000. So I'm glad I have a job, and today, like I said, we'll focus on health promotion. If you look at unhealthy lifestyles, we really die of lifestyle choices. Smoking is responsible for about 500,000 deaths a year. Over 1 million deaths a year are attributable to poor dietary choices. Physical activity, another 400,000 deaths a year, I should say physical inactivity. And then people, I guess public doesn't realize that high blood pressure kills 5 times as many women as breast cancer, and cardiovascular disease is really not diagnosed as much as it should or could be. So, you know, if you look at obesity, it's another kind of epidemic that's occurring in our society. 2/3 of U.S. adults are overweight. Over 1/3 are obese, which means they have a body mass index greater than 30. If you look at adolescent obesity, I think this is startling in terms of we're only seeing the tip of the iceberg of the health risks that are going to be coming down the road from our kids. But in 1980, 5% of individuals under the age of 19 were considered obese, and today that's 21% of our adolescent population is considered obese, which is astounding. And now there's an epidemic of severe obesity in this country. In 2010, almost 7% of adults in this country were greater than 100 pounds overweight, over healthy body weight. Look at just a decade ago, that was less than 4%, 3.8% in 2000. So severe obesity has almost doubled in the last decade. And we know that there's catastrophic effects on the quality of life. I mean, the consequences of obesity, you can see there really isn't anything good about obesity, and the health risks are pretty astounding. And we know that today's children, there are some scientists that believe this may be the first generation that will live less than their parents because of these health risks. I did a study with firefighters and simply looked at BMI. We also did percent body fat, so BMI was an accurate estimate of overweight in this firefighter population. And at a BMI of 30, there was a threefold increase in workers' compensation claims. So below 25, you can see a BMI of 25, there's no increased risk. It goes up a little bit with a BMI between 26 and 29, but when you hit 30 on BMI, firefighter work comp claims went up threefold. So we know there's something, not magical about a BMI of 30, but we know metabolic disease, diabetes, cardiovascular disease goes up significantly at a BMI of 30. And this shows that injury rates and workers' comp claims, this is showing you that with a BMI of normal, there's per workers' comp claim, it's about $7,500. You can see when you get severe obesity, that claim goes up to cost $51,000 per workers' comp claim based on BMI. So, how have we gotten here? I mean, most of us say not enough exercise, too much food. Yeah, we could say that. Our caloric intake has gone up about 500 calories in the last 2 decades. The average American is consuming more. We probably know that the average American is less physically active, and that certainly contributes to it. But obesity is very complicated. It's just not as easy saying overeating, under-exercise. But, as a prevention doctor, I really appreciate those healthcare providers over time that have looked at how important an active lifestyle is in good nutrition. In fact, Hippocrates is the father of medicine, and he said if all parts of the human body have a necessary function, and if exercised in a manner in which its purpose was created, it will become healthy, well-developed, and age slowly. But if the body is unused, it will become liable to disease and age quickly. We have data to show now that you can slow down the aging process if you eat really well and if you remain physically active. And you can speed up the aging process if you eat poorly and if you don't exercise. So amazingly, Hippocrates said this in 420 BC. Good Jewish scholar Moses Maimonides in 1135 said, if anyone who sits around idle and takes no exercise will be subject to physical discomfort and failing health. John Dryden in 1630 said, well, that's when he was born, probably said this around 1680, better to hunt in fields for health unbought than feed a doctor for a nauseous drop. The wise for cure on exercise depend, God never made his work for God to mend. And then how about Edison? I mean, pretty sharp guy. He wasn't even a physician, but the doctor of the future will use less medicine and interest his patients in the care of the human frame in diet, exercise, and prevention of disease. I mean, if anyone had great insight into the future in terms of, he was a genius, but we really are realizing that this is where we have to go. We really have to change culture. Our culture is set up, we don't prevent disease, we treat disease, we use medications, we're not taught in medical school to learn how to prevent disease. So we have to change our model of both how we provide care and how we train and educate our next generation. So here's the philosophy of the 20th century, don't you think? How have we come to this? This is J.P. McEvoy in the American Mercury said, the secret of his health is whenever the impulse to exercise, he lies down until it passes away. We pretty much know with diet and exercise, I'm sorry, I missed one slide. We have removed physical activity from our culture. We can pretty much sit in an armchair in a lazy boy and get pizza brought right to our foot and not get up to change the channel. We take the elevator and escalate it to 24-hour fitness to work out. I mean, it's insane how we have removed physical activity from our culture. People drive a block to go to the store. My wife does. She's in the back row. She drives it. I'm kidding. But what we know is really, I know what to tell you not to eat. You know, there's a lot of information out there about paleo, about diabetes prevention with Atkins and with high protein, high carbohydrate. Is the American Heart the best? Is the American Dietetic? So which is the best diet? Certainly the one Oprah probably uses for her weight loss this time around. But, you know, I know what to tell you not to eat because the data is pretty clear. And that's don't eat processed foods. Americans spend 90% of their food budget on processed food. Unbelievable. You should never go in the middle of the grocery store, right? Just on the outside. Dairy, fruit and veggies, grains, meat. Don't go to 90% of the grocery store. That's really where all the garbage is. I don't know anything that's really good in the middle. Amazingly, 30% of children eat fast food. Americans eat about 130 pounds of sugar a year. And this was a great study published in Circulation. It showed people that frequently, this is a retrospective study, people that frequently eat processed meat. This was a comparison between organic or regular good old Iowa farm beef and processed meat. These were individuals that ate Slim Jims, pepperoni, sausage, bacon, that ate high amounts of that, the stuff that's in every convenience store, right? Right at the... If you ate more processed meat on a regular basis, you increase your risk of cardiovascular disease by almost 50% and diabetes by 20%. Harvard Magazine in March said, obesity and what we're seeing today is due to ancient bodies colliding with modern technology to produce a flabby, disease-ridden populace. Who drinks vitamin water? Oh, man. Thank you. Thank you for being honest. You know, about 25% of the total calories a day come from liquid now for adults, right? You go to the Starbucks, 800 calories in a latte, all the energy drink craze, Rockstar, Monster, Red Bull. 25% of our calories are from beverage. I wish, well, I don't wish because I've sort of had the opportunity at times, but how to make a billionaire, this guy was so smart. He had a cold. This was 1996. This investor, Mr. Bickoff, had a cold, and he was drinking water, and then he thought, man, I wish I had a vitamin to take with this. Literally. Put a vitamin in a water. He went to a bottler, a friend of his who had a bottling company in New York and said, I want to put a vitamin in water. They said, great. They did it. They got the nicest, cheap-looking bottle. It's so great. They got a very cheap label. He started selling vitamin water out of the trunk of his car. In 1999, he nailed Walgreens that went national. In 2003, he was making $500 million a year from vitamin water, and finally Pepsi and Coke vied for him. They took him up to Manhattan on the 50th floor and said, normally you get about 4 times the amount for a sale of a company of annual sales. So he was $500 million a year. He should have got about $2 billion. But because Coke and Pepsi were vying for vitamin water, they said, we'll give you $4.1 billion. He said, sold. Now LeBron James is a spokesperson. You got 50 Cent, who owns 10% of the company. And thank you for being honest, but no need to drink vitamin water. It doesn't work. You got a few calories. Amazingly, at Costco, one time I asked somebody, why'd you buy this stuff? And they said, because it's cheaper than water at Costco. And it was. So why not? Probably a little good, you know, it can't be bad for you, but it generally isn't. How about dietary supplements? We now spend almost $50 billion a year on supplements. How many in here use supplements? Okay, let me rephrase that. Who's ever eaten a power bar? Who's ever had any Gatorade? Yeah. I mean, all of us use dietary supplements because that's what Gatorade, power bar, you know, herbs. I'm not talking just about saw palmetto or ginkgo, or if you've ever taken a multivitamin, or if you've ever used calcium or iron. I mean, those are dietary supplements. So we all have. But how about the new stuff, like Dream Away? You know, this is one product, though, that actually works. You take this at night, fat melts off. You can lose 10 pounds a night. See me afterwards to get this product, and I'm selling it. So, if you ever see a commercial at 3 o'clock in the morning that guarantees you're going to lose weight, or you're going to enhance your male system, or you're going to get lots of energy, or you're going to sleep better, you know what? None of it works. If it does work, it probably has something in it other than that product, like energy drinks, right? It's not the guarana, although guarana is a stimulant. It's not the taurine in Red Bull that does anything. It's total. It's a sort of an amino acid. Does not do anything. So what is it that in Red Bull that gives you energy? The same stuff that I had 2 cups of today, right? Caffeine. And coffee's probably healthier. There's no known adverse effects of moderate consumption of coffee. There may even be some antioxidants, certainly in green tea, and coffee that may actually help you. But you're only getting the caffeine for the buzz. It's a stimulant. So all these other products are there for stimulant, and nothing else really works. The Viagra kind of substitutes, like there was a product called Smiling Bob. He was on the commercial, the Smiling Bob. What was that called?
Enzyte?
Yeah, you know that. Okay. How do you know about Enzyte?
It's a U.S.
Enzyte. If you know, they had a NASCAR in the Nationwide Series, I think. They had tons of money. The Berkeley Nutraceuticals, good old, right down the road, Berkeley Nutraceuticals finally got busted for false advertising because they had so many dissatisfied customers that used Enzyte that didn't get male enhancement. That's what these companies finally get busted on, because the Federal Trade Commission finally says false advertising. Supplements can't say it'll cure or prevent disease. So you can't say it's going to cure cancer or cure heart disease or cure gout. But what it can say, it's going to make you sleep better, give you better sex drive, improve your energy, blah, blah, blah. And that's finally why these companies get busted. But I wish I could tell you there was a miracle pill. I wish I could tell you there was a product out there that actually worked. My niece just emailed me a few hours ago. She's a soccer player, college soccer player. And she said, raspberry ketones. Look at this, Uncle Kerry. Raspberry ketones, Dr. Oz says works for weight loss. Have you heard of raspberry ketone? And all the other it's another weight loss. And Dr. Oz, if he said it, it's probably good, right? Dr. Oz, he sold his soul. And I can understand why. You make a lot of money, and it's pretty impressive what money does. So you can tell I'm preaching a little bit, preaching to the choir, I think, but this is the only thing that works. So in 20 minutes, I basically have told you that all of this is pretty much garbage, supplements and all that. But the only evidence to reduce heart disease and certain cancers are the antioxidants that come from food. Fruits and vegetables have been shown to reduce cancer and heart disease. Certain kinds of cancer, prostate, breast, colon, 30 to 40% if you eat 5 servings of fruits and vegetables a day, independent of changing other behavior. We know that 10 servings of fruits and vegetables a day for African American males reduces prostate cancer. Vitamins and supplements have not been shown to reduce cancer, heart disease, hasn't been shown to prevent. So if you're taking a 1 a day, that's okay. Make sure it's the cheapest 1 a day you can get. No reason to spend a lot of money on anything like the Centrum Silver and all the different. But as a practicing physician, I see a lot of athletes with iron deficiency anemia, with runner's anemia, with foot strike hemolysis. I see 9 to 15-year-old female vegetarian athletes that aren't taking in enough calcium. And so, of course, I look at an individual and look at their health risks, look at their family history, and then certainly prescribe supplements when they're needed. But across the board, even world-class athletes. The guy that took 4th in the Ironman last year is my patient, doesn't use any supplements. So many of the athletes use, multiple supplements. You really don't need it if you're eating a balanced diet. So food is best, food is cheapest. There's 25 grams of protein in an egg white. 4 egg whites. 25 grams of protein. It's cheap, $1 for a dozen eggs. Versus protein powder versus creatine versus 10 times as much. A chicken breast has 30 grams of protein in it. You can't get that in muscle milk. Well, you can get 45 grams of protein in muscle milk that costs you $3 for a muscle milk. So, the bottom line, this is where you prevent cancer, and this is what you need to eat. And the beautiful thing about this is, in Weight Watchers, you know how many points these are? 0 points. So the best foods for you. I really appreciate Weight Watchers. They're smart. They know that you get to eat as much of this you want. And this is what prevents and cures cancer. Aging trends. So again, a few more minutes of fun facts. I know I'm preaching to the choir. We are going to get to team-based health promotion, but I just want to know, if you haven't heard of what's coming, this is what's coming. That a lot of us are going to be really old and hanging around this planet. Baby boomers turned 65 2 years ago. Individuals greater than 80 years are the fastest growing segment of the population. And I just read in USA Today last Friday, flying down to a meeting, that Alzheimer's will bankrupt Medicare because there'll be a lot of us healthy walking around with no cognitive function. And it's sad to say, but we don't have a cure yet. There's a lot of interest and money in Alzheimer's, and so hopefully we will. But the sad thing is, we're going to see more dementia in this population. Sarcopenia, I really want to talk to you about because this is for your own edification. Sarcopenia is the loss of muscle mass. I believe, my opinion, #1 reason for falls, disability, and death. We lose 10% of our lean body mass a decade after age 30, 1% a year. At age 70, we lose 3% a decade, or 30% from age 70 to 80. Muscle mass. I have a 45-year-old patient that comes to me, weighs 220 pounds. He said, I must have cancer or heart disease. I feel horrible. I'm overweight, not out of shape, but there's got to be something wrong with me. I'm tired all the time. I don't sleep well. And he says, at age 30, I was playing hoop, basketball, 3-4 days a week, playing tennis. Well, what have you been doing the last 15 years? Raising a family, no activity, working 60, 80 hours a week, no activity. Has your diet changed? No, I'm probably eating a little worse. So in 15 years ago, when he was age 30, he weighed 200 pounds. He now weighs 220. In 15 years, if he lost 30 pounds of muscle mass, If he didn't gain any fat, he should be weighing 170 pounds. But he weighs 220. He's gained 50 pounds of fat in 15 years and lost 30 pounds of muscle. No wonder he feels bad. Because you lose a pound of 10% a decade after age 30. Sarcopenia lowers your resting metabolic rate. You wonder why you can't eat the same or you don't lose weight like you used to. That's so common. Oh, I'm on 1,500 calories, I'm exercising every day, and I can't lose weight. For every pound of muscle you burn, for every pound of muscle you have, you burn about 50 calories a day. For the really efficient, slow, kind of endomorph, unfortunately, people that put on weight really easy, they only burn about 30 calories per pound. And then people that are ectomorph, skinny, tall, more like Dr. Olson, lean, he burns closer to 70 calories per pound a day. But the average is, we burn about 50 calories per pound. So if I start lifting weights 3 times a week for 40 minutes, after a year I can put on about 10 pounds of muscle. I elevate my metabolism 500 calories a day. It's the only natural way to increase your metabolism. There's 3,500 calories in a pound of fat. Just by putting on that 500, or just by putting on the 10 pounds of muscle, I'm burning a pound of fat a week at rest. So take that in reverse. If you're losing a pound, 10% a decade, your metabolism is dropping because of muscle mass. You know, I have to do more exercise and eat less, and I'm still gaining weight at age 54. It's really tough. It's because of this. This is a great study that really enforces, and this is for you 50-year-olds that are my age. And I'm telling you this for your parents and your grandparents. You have to get them on a strength training program. No doubt about it. The only way to increase bone density in women for reducing osteoporosis is resistance exercise. Running, unfortunately, not going to do it. Walking, not going to do it. You've got to pump iron or do strength training, resistance exercise. Here is a great example of what I'm talking about. This is 10 days of bed rest on skeletal muscle. This was a young, active, healthy group. They laid in bed, or actually not laid in bed, they were just no activity for 28 days. The young, healthy people lost 2% of their total leg lean body mass. A month in bed, these young individuals lost 2% of their muscle mass after a month. Look at the elderly folks. After 10 days of inactivity, a third of the time, they lost 10% of their lean body mass. When I have someone that goes through hip surgery or knee surgery or heart surgery, we have them moving that day. They're with a trapeze, they're doing exercise. Because it's not so much the surgery that disables them, it's the fact that they're losing so much lean body mass from the inactivity. And so they feel crummy after 2 months and go, it's going to take me a year to get this back. And guess what? It's going to. Anyone that goes through surgery and is down for a month, prepare them. It is going to take 6 months for a 50-year-old or 60-year-old to get back to their baseline. So sarcopenia is so key for independence, for disability, and this really illustrates how incredibly inactivity is really bad for us. Do these things work? You that use the Enzyte, have you ever used one? Have you ever used one of these? So this is the Abdominizer. This is a Seattle company that came out with this. You put this on, it gives you little shocks on your abs. You can see your muscles quiver. This guarantees to give you a six-pack in 6 weeks, 5 minutes a day. If this worked, it would have to give you a big enough shock that it would throw you forward in a crunch. If it totally shocked your abs, and you did a sit-up, and if you could set it at 1 a second and do 60 in a minute, you could get ripped abs like this model. But they finally got busted. They ended up paying out, $3.5 million to unsatisfied customers because the abdominizer belt didn't work. So this is the only thing that works. And so if you're not strength training and you're over age 50, I would start it. If you have parents that age, I would get them strength training. And you don't have to use weights. You can do a lot of different, like Pilates, core strength, and all kinds of stuff. So if exercise was in the form of a pill, it would be the best medicine there is. I can't say anything bad about it unless you overtrain and run through pain. And if you don't listen to your body when you're exercising, then you can get into trouble from overuse or repetitive use injuries. But for the most part, it does everything right. Okay, so now I'm going to get to the second part. Why worksite wellness? Why should we do health promotion at the worksite? Because most of us go to work. Everyone's too busy, single mom, raising a couple kids, going to work. Who's got time to go to the club? Who's got time to take 2 hours out of their day and go to a club? I don't. But if you make little changes like taking a flight of stairs to work instead of the elevator, parking farther away, commuting by bike like Dr. Olson, doing some of those very basic things that we should be doing at work, that's what it takes, little changes. I call this the maladaptation to sedimentation. Our modern skeleton evolved over 1 million years ago. The modern brain 40,000 years ago. Automation appeared 110 years ago. In 1900, we were primarily a laboring society, an agrarian society, and we worked every day, burning about 500-600 calories a day in our work. Then automation appeared, then fast food appeared, and then the modern desk appeared about 50 years ago. Who is meant to sit for 8 hours a day and do work? Not humans, but yet we do. Study in Australia showed if we sit for greater than 6 hours a day, we have a 40% increase in all-cause mortality. We die early if we sit 6 hours a day. How about cost to the employer? Well, this was published in 2007. If you look at your typical employees at a work site, 25 will have cardiovascular disease, 12 have asthma, 8 have diabetes, 26 have high blood pressure, 30 have high cholesterol, 68 are overweight, 21 smoke, 31 use too much alcohol, 20 don't wear seatbelts, 24 don't exercise, 44 suffer from stress, 12 have moderate to severe depression. And only 5 out of 100 will be going to heaven. Just kidding. I'm sorry. If you look at employer costs of an unhealthy lifestyle, this Purdue University study showed 87% of healthcare claims are due to an individual's lifestyle. That's a little high. At least 50%, and most studies show 70% of healthcare claims costs are due to an individual's lifestyle. There's much newer studies. This is an old slide. Chapman now has, and Getzel now have updated this. They now have stuff from 2011, 2012. Meta-analyses showing. I mean, this is an old slide that shows for every dollar you put in to health promotion at work, you get $4 back in medical costs. 18 studies showed on absenteeism, if you put it, for every dollar you put in, you get $5 back in absenteeism. And this is old data. The new data shows at least a return on investment of 5 to 1. For every dollar you put in, you get $5 back in costs. I'll show you data from our firefighter study that after 1 year, there was a significant return on investment. So I've showed you that we're at the problem in the United States. I've showed you that the workplace is probably, I think, the best place to change behavior. We have a captive audience. We know that if we give an employee an hour to exercise, that they will be more productive and less sick and less ill. If I give my employees an hour to exercise, if I pay them, They're $20 an hour, and I say, I'm going to pay you to exercise. We know that we're going to get that back. You know, after lunch, your employees, you get about 2 hours in that final 4 hours of work. We know that they're more productive, better morale, less injuries, less sick, across the board. So, we've developed work-based health promotion programs to try to reduce injury and illness and costs and to improve productivity. We started with school-based programs. This is called Atlas. Really, I'm going to present 30 years of research, and we started with school-based studies. This reduced steroid use among high school football players. It improved nutrition behaviors. It reduced drinking and driving. This was called Athena. Dr. Elliott, my partner, got funded to reduce eating disorders in female athletes. And so we got funded. We developed a nutrition and exercise and a stress reduction program for female athletes. That, again, evidence-based, it works. We took that curriculum and got funded to do a middle school diabetes prevention program. And it worked. This was the largest appropriations by Congress for a single study. This was a $120 million study. In 2000, when the Surgeon General went to the President and said, what do you want to change? The President said, diabetes and obesity among our kids. They then funded 7 sites, we're one of the sites, to a 7-year study, 3 years pilot, 3 years intervention, 1-year follow-up. $120 million spent to reduce diabetes and obesity among middle schoolers. We took that same curriculum then and said it works in schools, let's try it in a natural sort of team setting. And we used it in firefighters. Why did we use it in firefighters? Because we knew the curriculum, this curriculum we developed, we knew the program worked among sports teams. But now we wanted to go out of the sport team arena and use it in an occupational setting. So the significance is the difference between a team and a group, and that's where really our team-based health promotion concept, our model comes from, is what is a team versus a group? A work group, as defined by Guzzo and Shea in '92, is made up of individuals who see themselves as interdependent because of tasks they perform as members of a group. Typical work group. So they're individuals that they have a job, they have other co-workers, they have some tasks, but they still see themselves as individuals. Whereas a team, Katzenbach and Smith, asserted that groups become teams when individuals develop a sense of shared commitment and strive for synergy among the members. So I'm going to show you some pictures, and you tell me if it's a group or a team. Team? Who hates the Yankees? Yeah. Who loves the Yankees? Really? No doubt. We're together on that. Okay, team or group?
Team.
Team. I had to show a picture of the Ducks. My Ducks. That's a team. Group? No, this is not a group or a team. It's a trick question. Can anyone tell me what photo this is from? I mean, you've been seeing... You've seen pictures of B.F. Skinner in the early days. These are some early psychologists. This was called Congress of Psychologists in 1929 at Yale. They came from all over the world. This is, I think I was asking Dr. Olson, which one is Pavlov? Which one is, a bunch of famous psychologists in here. This is a famous photo called the Yard of Psychologists. So, trick question. It's not a group, it's a yard.
A yard.
Group or team?
Team.
Thank you. Should be a team. I agree. But group. but that's where I'm going. Is that these are, I'm going to treat these as occupational athletes. I want to get these people fit. But this would be considered a group. Group or team. This is school teachers at a school. Sure could be a team.
How they see themselves.
They see themselves as individuals who have a not shared commitment. They, kind of they're individuals in their classrooms. They eat a little lunch together, hobnob, but pretty much go home at 4, prepare their lesson next day. So this is a group of teachers. How about a group of electricians? 2, is 2 a team?
That could be a team.
So you see where I'm going with this, is we have a successful team-based program in sports teams, and we wanted to go out into the workplace and see if we could create a team, because we know if you can create a team, there's shared commitment, you watch each other's back, you help each other win, you help each other get better. Unlike a group where there's no shared commitment. So why do we study firefighters? Because it worked with our kids. Firefighters are a group that work and live together for 24 hours. They shop, they cook, they eat, they exercise, they sleep, they maintain their equipment, they run medical calls, and they fight fires together. We know that when we ask them, what do you guys do? How do you protect each other on the fire line? They say, we watch each other's backs when we fight fires. I got his back, he's got mine. And then we said, why don't you watch each other's backs when you're shopping and cooking and preparing your meals and sleeping and exercising? And so that was the tagline, is that watch each other's back at the station and then take this home to your family and do this program at home. So firefighters are a natural occupational team. That's why we chose firefighters. We got funded because they're unhealthy. Greater than 65% of firefighters have 3 cardiac risk factors and 40% have 4 cardiac risk factors. When we first applied this from the National Heart, Lung, Blood Institute, NIH, NHLBI, they said, firefighters aren't a high-risk population. We're not going to fund that. And then we had to show them that they have that most of their deaths are due to heart attack on the job. They have the highest heart attack on the job rate. And we said they're equal to risk factors with the general population. So then we got funded. And we got funded to do this study. More than 600 firefighters were studied for 5 years. Our first group were control group. In fact, everyone got tested. And then a third of the firefighters, and they were randomized by station because that was where the shift, right? So 1/3 of the fire stations got, they all got tested, and then some just got their doctor advice and results. So I would tell them, you got high cholesterol, you can change if you want to, here's some resources. So they weren't a true control group because we went over their results with them and said, you got high blood pressure, you're overweight, so they could change. The second group got motivational interviewing called one-on-one coaching. So about 250 firefighters got one-on-one coaching. And then the other third of the stations, another 250 firefighters, got the team-based program. So everyone got tested. They got blood tests, they got body composition. We test them every 6 months for 2 years. We did sleep assessment, and then this is Carol DiFrancesco. She's an expert in motivational interviewing. Dr. Olson is utilizing Carol's services for his trucker study to do motivational interviewing with a population of truckers. And we know that this works. We know that it works for smoking cessation and cardiovascular risk reduction. We didn't know if it was going to work for behavior change. But anyway, 1/3 of the firefighters got one-on-one health coaching. And then 1/3 of the firefighters got the team program. So I've been talking about the team program. What is it? What do they do? They meet once a week for 12 one-hour sessions. These are fun learning activities. We developed a curriculum that they go through. There's competition, there's pedometers, There's snack cards, they get Crisco they cut up, there's all sorts of activities. It's really fun. Because you know what? We don't learn by hearing, by lecture. We learn by doing, by engaging, and by it being fun. And so this is actually, we've gamified this curriculum. Activities relate to diet, exercise, body weight, injury. It's led by a firefighter on shift, so the great thing is I don't have to be there. Dr. Olson doesn't have to be there. You don't have to be there. It's done, scripted curriculum, done by themselves on their own time. We know if they do it, great changes will come. We don't know if they're going to do it. This is what the team leader manual looks like. It's all scripted. So literally, Dr. McGee I could give her the materials, and with you five right here, Dr. McGee could lead you through an hour session. It's all scripted. You'd have a little toy box with pedometers and some snack cards and different stuff. But it's that easy. It's goof-proof. We've made it like 7th, 8th grade ability. It's very easy to do. And this is what the firefighters look like. So, you know, they live together for 24 hours. So if they got a call, they would get interrupted. I mean, that's real world. So they'd be going through the program right before dinner. They get a call out. Hopefully they get back to it. In the original study, they got through 10 out of the 12 sessions. But this is what, there's a competition with other shifts. So there's ABC shift at the fire station. This was A shift. And they were basically, if they ate 5 servings of fruits and vegetables, they got a little sticker. If they exercised, they got a little sticker. And the goal was to climb the ladder to put out the fire. And they loved it. And competition. And what are they, B shift doing? And we gave them pedometers. Look at this dice. This is called Flameopoly. It's a Monopoly game that, they loved it. And why not? So the results, I think we have 12 publications over the last 8 years in medical journals, health behavior change journals, and you can get all those references on our website. But we had healthier eating, more regular exercise, improved weight. Was it worth the price? We looked at injury, and injury were down 35% in the team program as compared to the control group. They were firefighters just the same. The control group got their test results. They could change, but the team program reduced injuries. Work comp claims dropped significantly. When I first submitted this publication, the reviewer said, no, work comp claims, they probably went down in all of Oregon. Why? What happened in 2001 that changed the United States of America of how we live? I mean, during this study, 9/11 happened, and half of Portland went to New York during that time. I mean, the chaos that occurred during our flame study was that everyone became healthier, more vigilant, more safety, blah, blah, blah. So I had to go back and say, did this happen in other Oregon fire departments that didn't do the flame program? So I went back and looked at injury rates among Oregon fire departments that didn't do our flame program, and indeed we had a significant reduction in injury rates among the flame program versus control fire departments in the state, and we saved about $1 million a year for Portland, and Salem saved about $162,000 a year after paying for the costs of their stress test and everything. So, okay. I'm near the end. I did get started 8 minutes late. So for those of you that need to leave at 5 o'clock, please do. It's 3 minutes till. Basically the same thing we did in firefighters, we did with police officers, but here was the key. Cops aren't a team. Firefighters, it's a natural team setting. They did the program, they worked together, they're a team. Now we wanted to extend this curriculum in emergency responders, a sort of a similar population that weren't a team. And that's the significance of this study. We know that LEOs are a high-risk group for, suicide, stress, PTSD. For those of you that are into the stress of police officer, Kevin Gill Martin, do any of you know Kevin Gill Martin? He's a clinical psychologist. He was a Marine Vietnam officer for Tucson for 20 years, got his PhD in clinical psychology. He's really the expert in the country on stress PTSD. He wrote a book called The Emotional Survival for Law Enforcement. And the high rates of stress and cardiovascular disease in cops are due to their hypervigilance. They always have this heightened sense of vigilance, meaning they're always looking for the threat. They're always on guard. It is this enhanced sensory overload to detect threats that causes them to mistrust the public, which creates a neuropsychiatric imbalance. These people have high rates of divorce, suicide, substance abuse. Who are the heroes? Are firefighters the heroes, or are cops the heroes in our society? Yeah, certainly not the police. Firefighters get cookies and cakes brought to them by grandmas. You know, the police officers can't eat the stuff brought to them. You know why? Sure. They can't go to the fast food restaurants because there's documented evidence that fast food workers spit in their food when a cop pulls up. And there's been a couple lawsuits, well documented. So, you know, police kind of have a target on their back, right? Are you glad when you see the lights go on behind you when you're driving? Oh, crap, speeding ticket. How fast am I going? No, cops are the enemies of society. So they have this increased stress, and they can't turn it off. They're always on. So the bottom line is they have increased health risks. So this is a great study to do. We know we worked among a similar group of emergency responders in a natural team setting. Would this work among police? Can a program work? The grant reviewer on our first pass said, not going to work. Your team program is not going to work with cops. They're individuals. They're cowboys. They're in the patrol car. They chatter with each other. They may eat fast food or Krispy Kreme together, but they don't hang out together. They don't, meet together in teams. You're not going to create teams. The reviewer said these are, cops are not firefighters in blue uniforms. I'll never forget that quote by a reviewer. They have a very high degree of activity. And the firefighters, we know they all pretty much do the same thing. With police officers, you got people that are desk jockeys, and then you got the SWAT team that are the elite. And then you got traffic patrol, you got bikers, you got everything in between. So it was hard to do this study. So this is a $2.5 million 4-year study. This time we're not looking at health coaching. We're only going to look at testing, control, doctor advice, and we're going to look at the team program. This is our study outcomes. Lower BMI, increased servings of fruits and vegetables, increased physical activity, reduced heavy alcohol use, improved sleep, reduced work, reduced injury, reduced absenteeism. As I said, the key to this study is we had to get to know every law enforcement officer's job, what their interaction was with other. We had to create natural teams. So really, for us, the key to the study was to understand their job very well, know where they meet, know where they interact. And then we randomized this group by teams. We actually put them in 4 to 5 co-workers, and then they were randomized by that. LEOs met for 30 minutes before, during, or after shift for 12 weeks. Again, we're focusing on fatigue. Do you know that 20% of police officers, traffic, patrol cops do not use seatbelts? Can you believe that? You know why? Why do you think? It takes too long. They need to get out of their car quick. And so the rationale of these individuals, on our survey, 20%, our baseline survey, do not use seatbelts. And that's pretty well documented by the California highway traffic. So they don't use seatbelts because they're not going to get out. They got to get out quick. Plus they got their vest and guns and everything. It's, how to get that thing over. Anyway, they don't wear it. I thought that was interesting. What we're trying to teach them to do is build healthier lifestyles at work and home. So this is what the team program looks like for the cops. This is the deputy sheriff in Clark County. This was the patrol unit. Typically, they'd meet for a fast food lunch. but once a week they came and they started bringing, we didn't tell them to bring fruits and veggies and healthy snacks. The program teaches that. So what we see is no longer do they bring the candy and the fast food. There's peer pressure. Peer pressure. The social influence. You're building a culture. You're changing the culture. You're trying to get peer pressure back to health. And it's working. This is our pilot study. Sorry we don't have the 6-month data yet. We're just getting that from the full 500. But out of these 30 individuals, we dropped blood pressure, diastolic, LDL went down, glucose went down from pre-diabetes below to normal blood sugar. Across the board, really good things. And we hope that same thing will occur in the large study. So we know it worked in the pilot. We know that it's feasible if they do the program. Okay, lastly, I want to show you a video because I think everything I've spoken about is represented. We've got a 4-minute video. We're now doing this on hospital employees. Oregon Health Sciences University, where I work, because of our work with school and these occupations, because of our curriculum and the evidence we now have, which has gotten national recognition for our programs. OHSU, the 4th largest employer in the state of Oregon, the largest employer in Portland, Oregon, asked us to develop a wellness program for our employees. So we're doing the same thing. It's called Healthy Team, Healthy You. And we're doing the same team-based program among our hospital employers, and we're trying to create teams for them to work together at the nursing station and the different places. So what I'm going to do is show you the video, and then I'll be glad to entertain individual questions after this.
This is Denise. She's 35 and works in accounts receivable in a big office. Denise used to be more active. She played sports, went to the gym, and even used to jog after work. Look at that. But as time marched on, her healthier habits took a backseat to some more pressing matters at hand. But the truth is, our habits, what we eat, how much we sleep, what we do, is responsible for nearly 50% of what ails us. This affects our physical health and our mental health. So what's the solution? How do you change your unhealthy behaviors into healthy ones? Well, that's kind of why you're watching this. This might sound hard to believe, but you're influenced by the people you work with. It's true. Nearly half of your waking hours during a work week are spent with John the IT guy, Kara the administrator, Marcia the secretary, and Patrick from HR. And when you all work together toward a common goal, work-related or not, some pretty remarkable things can happen. Well, some smarty-pants scientists at the Oregon Health and Science University recognized this connection and created a wellness program that utilizes the power of coworkers working together as teams, called Healthy Team, Healthy You. And guess what, All-Star? You're our newest member. Welcome to the team. Here's how it works. You and about 4 of your coworkers will form a team. For 12 weeks, you and your team will meet up, lunch, or during a break, whatever. I don't want to micromanage you. But for 30 minutes each week, you'll teach each other about various health topics. One member of your team will guide everyone through a session using the group's shared team leader manual. And look at that. See, it's all scripted. So don't worry, you're going to have all the answers and explanations in front of you. You're going to sound like a genius with this thing. Everyone else participates through the activities and games in their very own workbook and wellness guides. And at the end of each session, you'll be given a goal to reach by the following session. And well, you've got some incentive to complete these goals. Let me explain. You earn points by logging your activities on the Healthy Team, Healthy You website. You're actually getting 100 points right now just by watching this video. Pretty cool, right? And when you earn enough points, this translates into a bonus in your paycheck and a lower healthcare premium. Yes, you heard that correctly. And I'll leave that up there for just a second, just so it sinks in. All right, good. Points are earned on an individual basis for your session attendance, accomplishing your weekly goal, and completing online activities. But get this, when everyone in your team completes a goal and logs it online, your points double. Boom. That's what we call team accountability. You and your team will track your progress online. and you can send each other reminders and messages throughout the week to motivate one another. If you feel like you want to do a little more, the resources page has things like healthy recipes and cooking videos, and a strength training fitness series designed just for you so you can kick your healthy choices into high gear and sometimes earn even more points. When you're feeling hungry at work, healthy foods and snacks are identified with a Healthy Team, Healthy You label, so it's easy to develop better eating habits at the office. Whoa. No. There we go. I think that just about covers everything. Look, changing your behavior takes time and it takes effort. We know that. But we also know that you can do it. Those who have gone through Healthy Team, Healthy You have shown incredible improvements to their mental and physical health. Remember, your team is counting on you. And through this proven health intervention, you'll be making healthier decisions, getting rid of all those pesky health risks surrounding that sedentary lifestyle in no time. Ready or not, it's time to take some action. So have fun and good luck.